It's time, America. Time for Walter Winchell. Presented to you by Gruen, the precision watch. Gruen, the finest watch you can wear. Gruen, the finest watch you can give. Brings you the man who gives America the news. Walter Winchell of the New York Daily Mirror and the Washington Post.
Mr. North to South America, all the ships at sea. Let's go to press. Havana, Cuba. Batista has smashed another revolutionary plot. Over 40 persons arrested. One plotter is believed to be an American. Karachi. The Pakistani government has reported to Parliament in secret session. The Pakistani faces starvation. Las Vegas newspapers. There will be much bigger headlines than ever. This weekend, upcoming weekend, with the very next, very terrible, atomic blast. New York City. Graham Cole, 63, the top executive of the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, New York, jumped to his death from his 8th floor apartment. He left no notes. Joplin, Missouri. It's a baby boy for the Mickey Mantles of the New York Yankees. Detroit, Michigan. It's a baby girl, cesarean, for Marjorie Hughes, the daughter of orchestra leader Frankie Carl. She is the wife of a G-man in Detroit. Boston, Mass. Tony DeSpirito, the 1952 champion jockey, and Doris DeCristo Foro will be married this year. The bride-to-be's father is the Boston Latin Quarter chef. Beverly Hills, California. Donna Hartman, the daughter of the Paramount production chief, becomes the bride of James Halsey of the Paramount staff next Saturday. New York City. War veterans will picket the opening of pro-Nazi pianist Walter Gesicki on April 22nd at Carnegie Hall. This Nazi punk is having the next to last laugh. New York City. Malvina Thompson, the secretary to Mrs. FDR for 25 years, is in New York hospital. Her condition is reported very serious. Las Vegas. The golf tournament of world champions, winners of tournaments all season, will compete for $35,000 in cash prizes at Wilbur Clark's famous Desert Inn course, Las Vegas, April the 20th. The Runyon Cancer Fund, ladies and gentlemen, has already received $35,000 on account from the very wonderful Wilbur Clark. Washington, attention Hollywood. The bill to slash the 20% tax on movie admissions comes up before the House Ways and Means Committee in Washington on the 20th. New York City. Macy's, the world's largest department store, will be struck Tuesday morning. Chicago. Chairs were thrown and heads were cracked in a free-for-all between members of the American-Soviet Friendship League and the American Friends of the anti-Bolshevik organization out there in Chicago. Washington, D.C. The U.S. Senate Committee investigating commies and strange red fellows will subpoena former executives of the Young Communist League. The first is expected to be James Wexler, the editor of the New York Post. The New York International Clocks, Budapest. Russia's answer to the Churchill-Tito alliances: one more armored division, two more motorized divisions, and another Red Air Group for Hungary. All of them rolled in last week, unannounced. East Berlin, Germany. Churches of the Protestant faith, especially Sunday school classes, have been charged with criminal resistance to the Soviet Republic. Cairo. Premier Naguib told Americans this week that the Malam War in Kenya has stirred up the tribes in the Sudan. Witch doctors' drums are demanding vengeance on all white men there, from Kenya down to the headwaters of the Nile. Rio. The communists are capitalizing on the terrible Brazilian inflation. A wave of strikes is right now paralyzing Brazil. Busan, Korea. United States Combat Intelligence warns that this week in Korea, the bloodiest of the war, gives every indication that the High Red Command is probing for a breakthrough offensive all the way down to Seoul. Mr. and Mrs. United States. In plain language, the only reason why the West is being offered a so-called truce is that the rival gangs inside the Kremlin have decided to shoot it out, winner take all. In this merciless life and death struggle between the red leaders, the only thing they are still agreed upon is that we, the Americans, must be destroyed. The private and the false religion of all top reds is that a half-free world and a half-communist world cannot exist. The reason for their peace feelers is not to settle their war against the West, but to settle the leadership among themselves. This week, the casualties on Mount Baldy in Korea were the highest in 6 months. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is that Moscow holds the West, meaning us, in great contempt because the West is gullible enough to believe peace talk while its own sons are being shut down in increased numbers. When your enemy really wants peace, the first evidence of his good faith is to stop shooting at you. There are hundreds of things you Americans need that you cannot buy today because of taxes. But you will only need an air fleet once. And if you haven't got one, you will never need it again because your country will be conquered. Our foreign policy is as simple as this. We must get stronger and stronger if we want a lasting peace. You never in your whole life heard of anybody spitting in Jack Dempsey's eye, and please pardon my gutter language. In short, I pass along this warning to those of you planning to pick some spring flowers. Beware of the red olive branch. It's poison ivy. I'll be right back after Dennis O'Keefe for Gruen, the finest watch since time began.
7, shooting complete. Wrap it up.
A man, a watch, a moment. The man, film star Dennis O'Keefe. The moment, that always thrilling second when you complete a fine picture. Well, congratulations, Dennis.
Oh, thanks, Roy.
Nice job.
Thanks a lot. So long, everybody.
That was a big moment. You know, a moment of time like that, or for that matter, ordinary, everyday time is important. That's why I wear a Gruen auto wind. It's really accurate. And tough? Take the day I was battling it out in that fight scene. All those jolts and jars didn't hurt my Gruen auto wind one bit. And when I had to do that swimming scene 6 times, my auto wind got the worst dousing of its life. But it kept right on ticking. It's easy to forget to wind a watch, but with my Gruen auto wind, I never have to worry. It's automatic, self-winding. Every time I move my arm, I wind my watch. The Gruen is a fine precision timepiece, all right, but ask your jeweler.
If you want a truly fine watch to wear or give, get this superb Gruen auto wind, the leader. Self-winding, water and shock resistant, anti-magnetic, stainless steel case, only $55. Give the finest, a Gruen precision watch. Remember, precision, the most important word in watchmaking, appears on Gruen alone. And now back to Walter
Reporters
Winchell.
report to the people, ladies and gentlemen. Hyde Park, New York. 8 tragic years ago today, the mortal heart of a very great American president failed under the terrible burden placed upon his immortal spirit. Long after history has erased the memory of Stalin and the 54 treaties broken with us by Russia, the common peoples of the world will remember FDR for the faith that he kept. When fate placed the weight of the world on his shoulders, Mr. Roosevelt relied upon his strong right arm, his supreme commander in Europe, General Dwight David Eisenhower. There is peace on the banks of the Hudson tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because the pines of Hyde Park whisper that the White House at last has another great oak. New York City. Next Saturday at the Jamaica Racetrack, April 18th, Gillette Safety Razor will auction the first of 10 thoroughbred ponies to the highest bidders. The entire money, ladies and gentlemen, goes to the Runyon Cancer Fund, for which thanks again, Gillette. Gillette is also donating 10 Shetland ponies for little children around the nation. Children who send me the best letter of the week for 10 weeks on why they'd love to have a pony. Some institution for orphans or institution for blind children might receive a pony by sending me only 1 letter for the entire school. The lucky 10, 1 pony a week for 10 weeks, will also receive a fine saddle and reins and a cowboy suit with 2 holsters. Write to Walter Winchell why you'd love to have a pony. Winchell, New York City. Hollywood, California. Next Wednesday morning, April the 15th, will mark the 41st anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic on its maiden voyage from England. It sank after a collision with an iceberg in the Atlantic. This terrible tragedy of the sea, filled with great and thrilling stories of personal heroism and self-sacrifice, has been skillfully filmed by one of Hollywood's greats, Charles Brackett, for 20th Century Fox. Titanic opens Wednesday night next at Grauman's famed Chinese theater, Hollywood, starring a longtime favorite of mine, the very lovely Barbara Stanwyck, Miss Big Time herself. Also in my studio audience from 20th Century Fox tonight are the talented Richard Widmark, Gene Peters, and Mitzi Gaynor. Next Sunday night, Marilyn Monroe. I'll be back in half a Gruen minute.
2:47. The moment screen star Teresa Wright first saw one of the most beautiful watches ever made, the Gruen Caliente.
Everything a girl could ask for in a watch. Even 4 real diamonds. Imagine what a thrilling gift the Caliente makes. All this beauty and a fine Gruen precision movement.
Smart, easy-to-read dial, rich, gleaming case set off with sprays of diamonds, 4 genuine diamonds. Give the Gruen Caliente only $71.50. Give Gruen the precision watch. And now, back to Walter Winchell.
And now to beat that red hand around the Gruen clock, Los Angeles Herald Express. The Department of Justice this and next week will start denaturalization action against 24 Hollywood figures. Some are nationally known. All of them will be targets for immediate deportation. The Wall Street Journal, the president of 20th Century Fox Studios, Spyro Skouras, will make very big news next Tuesday morning with his annual report to 20th Century stockholders. New York Daily Mirror, Ray Russell Davioni, he told the court he was a press agent, which he was never, will be sentenced on the 17th. He was Mickey Jelke's partner in the Jelke Vice case. Davioni will get 1 year by Judge Goldstein in the New York Penitentiary. The Houston, Texas Chronicle, my newest newspaper, starting tomorrow morning. Please get Confidential Magazine. Confidential Magazine on the newsstands all over the nation, April the 15th. Confidential Magazine. It features the inside story on a disc jerky's part in the Josephine Baker fraud. Confidential Magazine calls this man Broadway's #1 heel. Chicago American. Bobo Rockefeller's memoirs have been sold for $150,000, I am told. Publication next winter. Her Boswell is said to be a Chicago newspaper girl, Patricia Bronte. The book is believed to precede Bobo Rockefeller's demand for an unprecedented divorce settlement. Crestline, California Courier. The Crestline Chamber of Commerce has named a day after me for my scoop about a red school for spies near Crestline, California. There was no Crestline people involved, I'm glad to say. Winchell Day is August 31 at the 3-day Hillbilly Jamboree at Crestline, California. How's that for a coast-to-coast plug? To all of my editors in Danville, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, and all Virginia newspapers, communist pamphlets called the Southern People's Common Program for Democracy are being mailed to Virginia editors and educators. The FBI knows that I know what I am talking about. How many do you want me to use? Attention INS, the hottest scandal in Paris. French communist leader Thorez is back in Paris with a new lady friend. Thorez introduces this woman everywhere as a Russian brain surgeon which has allied intelligence in stitches, and you would all be in stitches too if some very fussy editors on this network would only leave me alone. To the show folks, the dramatic critics, and the playgoers. Your bookstore will have the latest book by Ward Morehouse on the 22nd. He is the drama historian for the New York World Telegram Sun. Delightfully breezy anecdotes about the first nights in New York. To the New York Journal, narcotic agents are taking moving pictures with hidden cameras of known marijuana sellers and smokers all over New York City. Washington Post, 2 more communist spies, Otto Weber and Kurt Ponga, arrested in Vienna, will be tried here next month. The government has witnesses on moving pictures which allegedly link these spies to Russian embassy clerk Yuri Nabokov. How many do you want now? I've got to get off on that, Mr. and Mrs. 48. Winds up the TV edition until 9 o'clock New York time tonight. Over ABC's 353 radio stations. This is Walter Winchell leaving you with a definition of a peaceful communist. His name is Joe Stalin. Good night.
Walter Winchell, same time next week. Presented by Gruen, the Precision Watch.